everyone, and welcome to Humble Heart Horsemanship. My name is Sabryna and this is my horse Gunner. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to tack up Western style. One thing to take note of is that we do a lot of things on our horse's left side. We lead them from the horse's left side, we also tack them up from the left side. Now the reason why we tack them up from the left side and we mount them from that same side is because soldiers in the army would carry their swords and their weapons on their left hand side. So they found that when they would go to the right side of the horse and try to mount over there, they would end up accidentally stabbing themselves with their weapon. So they actually figured out that if they were to go on the opposite side, the left side, and mount from over here, they would not stab themselves with their weapon. So that is where that tradition came from. So most equestrians mount our horses and tack them up from the left side. So the first piece of tack we are going to put on our horse is the saddle pad. Now the saddle pad is a really important piece of equipment because it helps to protect our horse's back from all of the impact that we just create as riders in the saddle. So take your saddle pad, standing on the left side of your horse, you're going to lift it up and put it up on the horse's back. Now, you want to place your saddle pad on the horse's wither. And the wither is the base of the neck right here. So we have the neck, starts all the way down here, and the base of it is this little bump right here called the wither. So you want to put your saddle pad pretty up high on the wither just because as your horse moves around, everything is going to slide back a little bit, so we want to put it up there pretty high. Our next piece of equipment is our Western saddle. Now, what the difference is between an English and a Western saddle, the main difference is that Western saddles have a horn, English saddles do not. You're going to take your saddle while you're standing on the side of your horse. You're going to grab your stirrup fender, which is this part right here, and your stirrup down at the bottom, as well as your billet strap. And you're going to pull everything to the side you're standing on. That way nothing gets in the way when you go to lift the saddle on the horse's back. Then you're going to stand here, lift it up, and very gently place it on the horse's back, right on top of the saddle pad. Take your stirrup and your billet strap and very gently allow it to fall back in place. Grab the front of your saddle pad and pull it up towards the gullet of your saddle. The gullet is this spot right here, all of this space right there. The reason why we want to pull this up and create a little triangular V is because if we don't, we're going to get on our horse and there's going to be a lot of pressure right here on the horse's wither. So we need to make sure that there's some clearance over there first before we tighten our cinch. The next step is we want to make sure that our saddle and our saddle pad are situated right behind the horse's scapula. Scapula is a fancy name for the horse's shoulder. If we have our saddle too far up front, it might be laying on top of the scapula, and that can actually decrease your horse's forward movement and it can cause pain for them. So how we're going to situate the saddle back behind the scapula is we're going to grab the saddle pad here, lift it up, and very gently push it back, like you're trying to just push it back a little bit. And then you're going to take your hand, follow alongside the top of the horse's neck, and when you come down right about where their elbow starts, you're going to feel a circle. It kind of feels like a plate. It's like a little bump. And if your saddle is situated behind where that bump is, like right here, then you know that it's in the good spot. If your saddle is way up here, you're going to find that when you run your hand along the scapula, you're going to feel a lot of pressure, and you'll see that your saddle is not sitting behind that, it's going to be on top of it. We are going to go on the other side of our horse, walk around to the horse's right side. Our next piece of equipment is the cinch, and the cinch is a really important piece of equipment because it is what keeps our saddle and our saddle pad on our horse's back in place. Find your billet strap. Your billet strap is going to look like this. Some of them are made out of leather, this one is made out of nylon. To determine which side of your cinch to use, most cinches have a little keeper right here, this little loop. This is the side that you're going to use for the billet strap. With the cinch, you see this loop right here, this metal loop. You're going to take your billet strap and you're going to feed it from the back through. Now, to estimate where your cinch needs to be in one of these holes, estimate a good spot where you think it might work, lay it underneath of your horse's belly. A good way to figure out if it's in the right spot is that we want these rings that are situated in the center of the cinch to lie about the center of the horse's chest. So as you can see there, that looks pretty close to the center of Gunner's chest. Now that we know that the cinch needs to be placed in hole number 3 from the top, 1, 2, 3, put a latch right through that hole. I'm going to take the bottom part of the billet strap and feed it through the keeper. Now I'm going to make my way to my horse's other side, the horse's left side, and we are going to start tightening our cinch. Take your stirrup and lift it up over the seat of the saddle, or you can put it over the saddle horn, that way it's out of your way. This is a smart cinch. It's a little bit different than the traditional cinch, so just keep that in mind. Start by taking the end of your latigo strap and feeding it from the back through the first metal loop. You're going to pull it all the way through. Then, taking the end, we're going to pull it up and down the back of the first metal loop up here, pulling it all the way through. Taking that end piece again and pulling it from the back through the first metal loop. Now we don't want to tighten this too much because it's going to be hard to finish our Texas T-knot, so we can keep it pretty loose until we're almost done. I'm going to take the end over, down the back, taking the end once again, but this time we're going to go to the second metal loop, this one down here. We're going to pull it from the back all the way through. Then to tighten it, you're going to hold the bottom tail. You take your right hand from the bottom first layer right here. So we're not going to take all of this bulk, we're just going to take the first layer. Grabbing from the bottom, we're going to pull up, and that's how we tighten it before we finish our knot. Then taking the tail under and towards the horse's face, then over facing the horse's hind end and under, and then pulling the tail part right through this circle loop right there. This is a breast collar, and some people ride with breast collars, others don't. Kind of depends on what you're doing. So if you're doing like team penning, roping, working with cattle, or if you're doing a lot of hilly trail rides, you might want to have a breast collar because it allows your horse to kind of lean and push up against it if they need it, if they're doing athletic things. It also will help keep your saddle in place on your horse's back. Take your breast collar and hold it out like this so you can see which side you need to be attaching the strap to. So I can see right here, this is the front. It's gonna lay like this on my horse. Take this strap right here. Now typically you would be feeding this strap through this D-ring. Most saddles have them, some don't, but most do. But because the strap over here is a little bit too wide for this D-ring, I'm going to be feeding it through here instead. Feeding it through and then pulling it over, we're going to take it through this buckle here, pulling it up, and then putting it through the keeper. To check if your breast collar is too loose or too tight, make a fist and put it up under the center of the breast collar. You want to be able to fit a full fist in there. If you can't put a full fist in there, the breast collar is too tight and you need to bring it down a few holes. If you can fit a fist and a half or even 2 fists, it's probably too loose and you need to bring it up a few holes. Taking the strap that's hanging down, you're going to pull it in between your horse's legs and fasten the clip on one of these metal loops. I'm going to put it on the second one for Gunner. Alrighty, our last step is putting on the bridle. I ride Gunner in a rawhide single strand side pull here. Some people ride their horses in bits. I like to ride bitless, but that's just my preference. So taking the horse's halter, taking this buckle off here, pulling it back and looping it around the horse's neck loosely. That way, in case my horse were to try to walk off, I would have some control and be able to pull him or her back. Now taking my bridle, the 2 main pieces of a bridle are the head stall, this part right here, and the reins, okay? So we're gonna take the reins, I'm just going to toss them over my arm, that way they're out of the way. So taking my right hand in between my horse's ears, I'm gonna take my left hand holding the top of the bridle and bringing it over his nose very gently. Then I'm gonna hold it with my right hand, slide it over his nose, and one at a time I'm going to be tucking his ears into this space right here. So we're going to gently tuck the ear in, and then do the same over here, tucking it in. And we want to be gentle with the ears. They are very sensitive. We don't just want to grab them and force them under. Also, it's shedding season right now, so he has like buckets of hair coming off of him, and I just can't stop it. Right here we have the throat latch, this piece right here. You take the other piece of leather and pull it to the horse's left side, bring it up through here. Now, to figure out if your throat latch is too tight or too loose, you want to be able to fit a full fist from the horse's cheekbone to the end of the throat latch. For the chin strap, which is this piece underneath of here, you never want this too tight. It could hurt the horse that way. I'm going to take 2 fingers and have one touching his chin, the other one touching the strap. If you can fit like 3 or 4 fingers in here, it's too loose and it could actually get caught in the horse's mouth. Taking off the halter, we're just gonna want to drop in its place, and then your horse is all tacked up Western style. Are you ready, Gunny? Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure that you scroll down and hit that like button and subscribe, and Gunner and I will see you in the next video. Bye!